I get this beef from Sweetbriar Farms right outside of Eugene, Oregon. So it's a quick jaunt up to the restaurant. It's about, I don't know, 2.5, 3 hours drive. It's 21 day age on this beef before I get it. You can track the animal from birth to slaughter. Every animal that comes in the restaurant we can track from birth to slaughter, and that's part of the concept that makes us so unique. Okay, so the anatomy of the animal's changing because the muscle groups are becoming a little tighter and a little bit more marbling. That means that this part of the animal doesn't move quite as much, so there's a little bit more fat involved. That's the steak that I want. So I went back and took this edge off of here, so to speak. It's more like this. That's one of the things I do in the classes, is I like to fabricate the animal and then put it back together again. So when you put it back together again, I think there's more of a understanding of how it actually went together. So it's just like repeating the puzzle 2 times over. This is the top cap that I took off the very top of the ribeye. Somewhat reminiscent of a brisket. You can see the grain and the striation of the marbling kind of lends itself to that type of cooking. Anything that has a real straight, somewhat highly marbled piece like this, you want to cook it for a long time, cook it nice and slow. Okay. So we're going to turn that into the, we'll turn that into a pastrami for next week. Brine it for 7 days. Got a nice portion there for those guys to do. Pass that over to my brunch guys. Give them the excitement of learning how to brine and cook and deal with all the animal parts that we have here at the restaurant. So we have a fair amount. This right here is a little bit too much, you know, as far as the fattiness of it. Peel that back. It's really, really high fat. So I turn that into the, well, actually I'm going to probably put it into the brisket as opposed to hamburger. And those guys can, because that's what you're looking for. You want that real nice marbling on it. When you're taking silver skin off, you want to use your hand flat. Because if you have your hands curled up, you'll cut them. Have to be very careful. All this will go into my fat for the fried chicken. I do leave a little bit of meat on there, on some of the fat. Okay, so now I'm at the very edge of that top plate. Trimming it up just like I do. Following the rib lines. See how much I'm actually ending up with. Looks like primarily fat in there. Just follow that line just like that. So I'm just going back and making sure that I get everything out of the cow that I can. These are going to be great bones for stock. Want to leave a little meat on there just to get a little protein into it. So we'll roast all the bones off.
Okay.
And make a stock out of the bones.
Got it. And where does the flavor come from? It's like the marrow, or?
Well, it comes from the flavor comes from, in the stock the flavor comes from the meat and the bones and the gelatin.
Okay.
And all that good stuff.
Okay.
That's a nice looking rib.
Oh yeah.
Just gonna clean it up a bit. Take the very top cap off. So the front quarter of beef, which is what we're working on right now, is primarily, in the restaurant, it's primarily used for braised beef and hamburger and any sort of charcuterie that's going to be involved. And then the ribeye, and then the back quarter is the top and the bottom round, which we use for beef jerky, for chicken fried steak, a little bit of hamburger, and there's a little bit of braised meat on there as well. That's a nice rib. Let go of my braised pile. This is a little bit thin. So when we get the beef in, we have to thoughtfully plan out how, which, where everything goes. Because if we don't, then you can kind of get caught a little bit in regards to what the fabricated pieces actually represent on the plate. And that's just purely understanding the anatomy of the animal in regards to how it's going to formulate into the menu.